do like that guy.
Which one is he?
I really enjoyed him in Bridesmaids. He played the cop. He was the Irish guy. Tall, goofy, very silly.
Kind of vaguely gingery.
Not at all.
Yep. Totally.
Just when you hear the accent, you think of gingers.
Maybe. Like Batty.
Who?
Batty. My friend Batty. He's going to work for Rick.
Oh.
At
Is that
Bluto's.
a nickname?
No. Batty, the Irishman.
Oh. Barry, right. Sorry.
Try it again.
Barry.
Welcome to the hotline where pronunciation is king. I'm Leather Stores, and with me as always, top to bottom in Costco, Kurt, Deal Hunter Huffman. We have been singing the Costco praises, and I love seeing your getup because mostly it reminds me of how, like the some of the ways that we used to dress when we were younger. Right now, you're sporting the rugby shirt with the flannel, but one of the looks that was big in our youth was popularized and I think perfected by Mark Prigozzi, and it was kind of the preppy stack and layer. Double? Are you kidding me? That's for amateurs. I think the apex would be the turtleneck, followed by the polo, popped collar, followed by the Oxford, and then either a rugby shirt or a sweater, and then like a big jacket.
I don't remember that many levels, but I do remember in 6th grade discovering that Izod and polo were a thing.
Ooh.
And I think he did do the double, didn't like you wear 2 Izods?
I think we're just
Isn't that right?
remembering differently. Although I think there were some kids who would
like
rock
2
that.
short sleeve Izods.
Maybe with different colors.
Yeah.
For a little snap.
Yeah. Strange thing when you think about it.
Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, lots of family in town. Kind of did 2. You know, one with mom, one with dad.
Right.
And that was good. Dad was last night.
And turkey as well.
No, we did a lamb, lamb. Shank on.
Oh.
It was lovely.
Really?
Yeah,
and were you able
really
to, was the shank cooked?
Oh, it was great.
It was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to get that kind of top round to a place that's, on the medium side of medium rare and still have some tenderness up top.
Yeah, we took it to 115 and then pulled it.
And let it rest.
Yeah, for about a half hour.
Carryover. That's a big carryover.
Yeah. So it's good.
Okay.
Really good.
And then you actually fancy yourself pretty good at turkeys, wouldn't you say?
Well, in France, oddly enough, I cooked an enormous amount of turkeys because they were very popular. Now that's more, like downed over there is more, it's a little bit different of a bird.
What do they call it? I can't remember. It doesn't ring a bell.
Well, downed, D-I-N-D-E is turkey. Then they had dandano, which is like a type of turkey, but it's almost more wild bird.
Right.
But goddamn, they were. We used to actually do them in this huge upright. Remember that barbecue I brought back from the States? Like a giant cabinet size one. It was about 7 feet tall.
Vaguely.
Multiple racks in it. I think I could do 24 turkeys at a time in it.
Smoked.
Yeah, and we do like a 10-hour smoke. And just absolutely stuffed full of citrus, and we did a lot of like a soy, butter, salt, pepper rub, and the French just loved it. They just never had the meat that way, but it came out so moist.
Right.
Every time. It
Always
was
a challenge. My sister's turkey was over, but pretty good. I think something happens. You get to
over the top.
Overcooked.
Oh.
But there was also a little bit of a kind of a braised quality to it, which wasn't terrible. It was well seasoned. I made a good gravy.
Did you tell her this at the dinner?
Of course not. I think she was just glad to get to the finish line.
You just waited to tell it to everybody else.
Yeah. Well, all 73 people that may or may not hear the show know that my sister's turkey was fine.
That's not what we just heard.
It was overcooked, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was well seasoned, and I don't particularly care for turkey. I like sliced deli turkey, and that's about it.
Well, I don't know. I did a modified Sam Sifton recipe this year, and it was delicious.
He writes for the New York Times, which also does the daily crossword.
Or wrote, isn't he? Former?
You're right.
And he, in fact, Sam helped Andy Ricker get his first location. in Manhattan. It wasn't in Manhattan, actually. It was in Red Hook.
Right.
But good guy, apparently. I've never met him, but I love his recipes.
Yeah, he's very thoughtful. He explains why he does it. He takes the opportunity to maybe discount some of the other methods. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to follow. I think the holidays brings kind of heaps of joy, but also a lot of dread for people culinarily.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Wednesday and Thursday frantic shopping going on, and at a certain point, if you're buying the frozen butterball on Thursday, it's bad.
Well, and there are certain things that just run out. Like
Right.
I needed sage.
Good luck.
Yeah, none on Thursday.
But you should be growing that at your house. Just so
You're
I know.
right.
Now I'm going to get you one for Christmas.
Well, I wasn't planning on doing this, but then I saw it, and it was a compound butter, pepper, salt, garlic, sage, and orange zest.
And when you say compound butter, you mean all those are mashed together?
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Well, then you just open up the skin above the breast on each side, and you just basically start jamming it in there and massaging it back and back and back. And you usually need to have like a rubber spatula or something gentle to like disconnect
The membrane.
Yeah, just so you can get it back in there. But as long as you're gentle, it's very easy. And then you just massage it back. So I had the equivalent of a quarter pound of butter on top of each breast spread out, and then the residual butter all around the bird, and then sage, salt, pepper on the bird skin. And that was excellent, actually.
I think that butter massage is such a funny concept because it's pretty intimate,
Yeah.
right? You're getting in there, you're underneath the skin, you're sort of separating it. It's a little gruesome, a little biological, a little sexy.
Right.
I remember doing that for Julia Child at the French Laundry with a chicken, and then
Isn't that a super old Bocuse recipe?
oh yeah, but that was black truffles.
Yeah.
And I can remember Thomas Keller just like loving the chicken, just
Right.
rubbing it in a way that was, lightly obscene,
Right.
but also clearly joyous.
Right.
And then these incredible big giant coins of black truffle, very carefully administered on the breast so that when it cooked, the skin
Underneath the skin?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the skin was both brown and a little bit translucent. So then you could see the color, the beautiful browning, but then underneath the skin, you'd see these coins of truffles. It was so gorgeous. And he had the restraint to serve it with only buttered noodles,
Yeah.
which I thought was such a ballsy move.
Oh,
And one of those things that as a young cook, you have a very hard time understanding
right.
because you just want bells and whistles.
Yeah, with all the residual juice that comes off of that and then onto the butter.
And again, like I can still, as you know, and we've joked about on a number of occasions, there are great big giant holes in my head as far as shared experiences or memories. We might call them. But then there's other things that I can remember in shocking detail. And for me, the image of Thomas twisting the egg noodles on a meat fork and then just kind of sliding them off onto the plate and putting the breast on that for Julia Child is one of these enduring, vivid, like
Oh, so he like
seared
twisted the noodles and then put the breast on
he
it.
just kind of if you imagine like you would
Yeah.
do with spaghetti on a spoon,
Right.
and then it was just this like gorgeous tube of sort of glistening fettuccine with a freaking breast on it, a tiny bit of jus, and I'm like, you're gonna send that? That's it?
And
But of
he's
course
like-
now, that's the sort of thing that just excites me to no end. Like,
Right.
just one gorgeous product supported by pretty straightforward, non-competitive, but exceptional ingredients.
I would say that is kind of a testimony or a confirmation, at least of what I've heard repeatedly from older chefs, of kind of how what their evolution in food appreciation is that they go from complicated to simple.
Right.
And almost every like older chef and that I've spoken with has this kind of reduction in kind of what they actually like, and it's always simpler, and it's almost always just excellent ingredients.
Right.
Like prosciutto, and like a white wine,
Right.
or like these very simple oysters.
And I think a lot of that has to do with humility. as we know, and I can attest, there's a certain amount of ego that attends a lot of chefs. And for me, in many ways, that took the form of this desire to sort of impose myself on food.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I wanted people to think that I was clever, but not. It wasn't really in the service of the food. It wasn't about
It's
the food
showing
being
off
delicious.
with food.
Exactly. And you're right. As you get older, you start to say, okay, maybe, why am I going to make this cured ham?
Right.
Why wouldn't I buy this gorgeous product from respected professionals and just enjoy it?
Right. Because one of the favorite dishes you ever had at Bocuse when you went to his big place outside of Lyon,
right,
was a fish on top of lentils.
That's right. That's right. It was the monkfish.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have ordered it, but because no one else at the table did, I felt compelled.
Right.
That was another crazy chicken dish that he was famous for. Poulet en vessie.
Yeah.
Chicken in a pig's bladder.
Yeah. Vessie is bladder.
Yeah. And that, again, like, there is this kind of very deep connection to food and to cuisine and to the origin of food that allows, I think, more sophisticated food cultures to digest both
right.
literally and metaphorically the notion of cooking something in a piss bag.
Right.
Right? Because my ex-wife at the time just could not get her brain around that.
The bladder.
Right.
Yeah.
And was convinced that the chicken, as a result, tasted like urine.
Like urine, right.
And it's a shame.
And you explain that the bladder is cleaned.
Of course. But that doesn't really matter. And that's the phenomenon that I've always kind of returned to, this idea of the yuck factor, which is the point at which your brain intercedes and will not allow you to enjoy something.
Right.
And I have a pretty high one. There are some things that I like, the balut, that little kind of half-formed embryonic egg.
Yeah.
I tried to eat one of those once and couldn't.
Yeah.
I bit into it, got to like the body of the thing, pulled the yolk off, and then looked at it, or pulled the white off. And there's this, it looked like a National Geographic picture of a little tiny just born chick. And I was like, nope, can't do it.
Can't do it. When I went to almost all of my family's from Montana, and half of four of the grandfathers owned, two of the four owned dairy farms. And so when we would go and visit, they of course have livestock everywhere. And a big thing that I just couldn't get my head wrapped around was the brain, just raw brain, integrated into a lot of things, but mostly scrambled eggs in the morning.
Right.
And I just kind of really struggled with that.
I can imagine.
And then tripe, like not kind of like common or tripe, I would call it in Lyon. That was for me a really tough one.
The honeycomb one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of bowls of it flopping around.
Right.
And just like.
Yeah, they're like a little noodle.
Oh. But back to I want to talk, because that dish, the Bocuse dish, is such a cool dish, because what's so clever about it is that, and it requires, like, who would have thought of that? You're actually putting a whole chicken into one and then roasting it.
Right.
And so it is kind of at once roasting, but also like steaming
kind
somehow.
Kind of braising
bit. Within the bladder.
Well,
so
just like a turkey cooker. Those big,
yeah.
funny aluminum things and you're like, how did it get brown in there? But
right.
It does.
And then when it comes out, describe what it looked like when it came to the
table. It
was
like, it looked like something from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It was this sort of brown, wobbly, glistening balloon.
Yeah.
Literally on a big, gorgeous platter, and with fanfare, they slice it open with a big scimitar, and it kind of flutters to the sides of this chicken. And then inside the chicken are haricots verts,
yeah,
which have cooked. And you're like, and that kind of thing, what a pyrotechnic display that is essentially, roast chicken.
Yeah.
Again, a simple dish, elevated, obviously, with impeccable ingredients and technique. But yeah, I do find that too. I don't think that the things that I like necessarily shrinks. I do know with certainty that I don't particularly like Kalamata olives.
Huh.
Or green peppers.
I get the green peppers. kind of give you that kind of gurgly
Kind of
gas.
burpy, like you just
Yeah.
keep tasting them. The same thing happens with the Kalamata olives.
Hmm.
And I like other olives. What about you? Is there anything you're just like, besides tripe, of course?
Just super spicy stuff.
Yeah.
Just don't, I'm not going to appreciate it. I just don't have the palate that can manage it.
Right.
Just gets me upset and frustrated.
I have a hard time with blood stuff.
I like Blutwurst. I mean, I think a great blood sausage is delicious.
A great blood sausage can be good as long as it doesn't have too much of that, like really overt iron
Yeah.
flavor.
And when I lived in Scotland, I developed a real appreciation for haggis. And everything in there is kind of yucky.
Right.
Like lungs and stomach, and it's
That
basically
sounds awful.
everything.
See what I did?
Yeah, that's awesome. But it was but what you had to do is you have to decide to spend money to get the great stuff.
Right.
That's truly in the sheep's stomach. And it's like, they're little tiny things when the haggis is maybe the size of a softball.
Yeah.
But man, it was just, I loved it. And they always ate it with swede.
Which is?
Swede is basically like a giant turnip.
Huh.
And everywhere you drive in northern England and in Scotland, there are these piles of things that look like bowling balls.
Right, and they're Swedes.
They're Swedes.
Do they have a lot of leaf or just little tiny kind of
I've never seen one outside of the context of a pile of bowling ball looking things at farms.
But not in the ground.
Not in the
I'm
ground.
going to have to Google
Because I was always wondering, we would be driving in the rugby buses to go to different games, and I'd be like, what the F is that? Like, it just seemed like, those are old cannonballs? Like, some idiot idea. And then you buy them, and they're just huge, and then you would just basically cut them up and boil them in salt water. And I developed an unbelievable. They were kind of like potato-y.
Right.
So it's like mashed swede. And I would have that with haggis. And haggis was quite inexpensive, even the highest end stuff, because people
Because
don't
there's
eat
not a big market for lung.
Yeah, not a big one. But man, it was because it's all stuff with oats and all these like kind of neat,
Well, we've
fillers.
got. So what have we got here? We've got chitlins that sort of approximate that use 'em ups mentality. Scrapple.
I never liked chicken feet. Like at I think when we were in Shanghai, there were an opportunity to eat chicken feet, and I just kind of couldn't do it.
Is it because you're looking at this foot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I'm kind of chewing on it, and it's like
It has a very particular texture.
And I just was like, I don't need to like eat the beak or the foot.
Right.
These feel like parts that it's okay to throw out.
One of the most captivating dishes, in my opinion, also French, is the ortolan. Are you familiar with that?
I am. Keep going.
It's a little tiny songbird.
Yes.
That gets roasted whole. And then you eat the bird while it's piping hot from the oven, organs, bones, and all.
With your fingers.
With your fingers.
Yeah.
Underneath a napkin.
Yeah.
So that God can't see you.
Yeah, because it's quite shameful, the display. And what was the name of the very famous French Prime Minister?
Mitterrand?
Yeah, François Mitterrand.
Yes!
Nice one. Yeah, before Chirac. So Mitterrand, who was the prime minister when I was there, and he amazingly didn't announce that he had cancer, like quite terrible cancer, just in the middle of his reign.
Right.
But he essentially survived, fought back cancer, and then not long after leaving the presidency, he died. But the request he had for his last meal was that.
Was ortolan.
Yeah, and he just and it's supposed to be just unbelievably sublime.
Right.
And I would love to do that someday.
You would.
Oh yeah.
And again, I wonder. So what's the difference then? Would you be able to eat a balut? Would you be able to eat that embryonic little?
No.
Okay. So why?
Well, because the ortolan is going to have all sorts of kind of fatty, kind of flavors that I think I associate with deliciousness.
Okay. It's warm. Also,
yeah,
that
it's
helps.
warm,
yeah.
and just kind of like I'm not a big fan of eating a cold, hard-boiled egg.
Right. And I don't know that they. I am ignorant on service methods, so don't quote me on them being served cold.
Right.
I don't know.
I think I could get tricked into it, and
Sure.
maybe the flavor profile would be one that I would like if they just kind of like gave me a quarter of one and I popped it in and ate it and be like, oh, geez, what's that? And
meaty.
they're like, yeah. Wow, that's a very strong egg. But yeah, I could eat a ortolan. I'd be excited about that. And maybe once I got to the innards, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. But the idea is that the whole goddamn thing goes in your mouth, and it's so hot that you have to eat it with your mouth open, and so the steam's escaping.
Right, you're just shoving your mouth and you're pulling out the little bones.
No, I think there's nothing should be coming out.
Oh, really? I thought that was the reason for the veil.
I think the veil is because you have to eat it in a very inelegant way.
And they're quite literally like no bigger than our fist.
Oh, much smaller. Yeah. I think they're teensy.
Wee little things.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I think the way we eat food and the way that we relate to food is a very interesting subject to me.
Now, I will say one thing: there are certain culinary traditions and cultures where I have grown to just trust them. So if a great French chef was to come to me and say, "Try this 200-year-old dish. It's going to be weird, but it's going to be sublime," I will eat it.
Right.
I don't care what. Regardless,
you're just like, don't tell me what.
There are certain traditions, and for me, it's the Japanese and the French. And probably Italian, and now Spanish.
Right.
Like those 4 cultures, no questions asked. I'll eat it.
I think that all 4 of those cultures share, at least to my understanding, this notion of perfecting and honing in a way that I don't think we're quite there in American food. I think there are these much longer traditions of culinaria that they have. And so, yes, if someone says, we've been fiddling with this for 300, 400 years, I'd like you to try the latest version.
But I would be nervous because we went to China, and I would be nervous, and that's an amazing culinary tradition, just millennia old.
Right.
But there's some stuff there that gives me the weebie-jeebies.
Oh, yeah. Although I do still remember that pork hock we had that was magnificent.
Yeah. In that crazy town with the channels.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, who would have thought it'd be that good?
No, it was just, And again, like, as I get older, those are the kind of cuts I think that are interesting. I still like it. Like, my on the deathbed meal is going to be steak and salad, probably. Yeah. And it'd probably be, a T-bone.
And your dad's was an omelet.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And
the perfect French rolled omelet. Is
the
the omelet just with herbs, right?
I think probably a little cheese. Maybe he would have like cheese and little chives.
Yeah.
I think I told you he had his own omelet pan, my dad. The Rudy Stanich omelet pan. It was green.
Ooh.
I know. He didn't mess around.
God.
I really love that. And, it's funny. People come down hard on eggs. Like, for example, Ben Jacobson, who we can agree knows quite a bit about salt, I don't think likes eggs based on the way I see him cook them.
Huh.
Just beats the crap out of them.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, like, really browned. That bums me out.
You don't like brown at all on your egg?
I like it. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't. It just gets a funny mouthfeel, and I don't like that, like, caramelized egg taste.
Yeah. Well, it's not traditional.
Hell no.
You would fail cooking class in France if you browned your eggs.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, they have an appreciation for the runny egg.
Oh yeah.
And we're very puritanical. I mean, we don't like to know where stuff comes from. We don't want it to be too oozy.
Right.
And I think our textural acceptance band is much more narrow than the rest of the world.
Well, historically, we cooked for safety, not for flavor.
Right.
So we're always trying to cook the shit out of everything and make sure it can't kill us.
Oy vey. Just a little tiny.
Do you remember what region the chickens came from that Bocuse cooked with?
Poulet de Bresse.
Yeah.
Of course. Is that the only chicken AOC? I think it is.
It's a good question.
AOC, that is a nerdy shorthand acronym for, please say it because I don't want to.
Appellation, so a naming.
Yeah.
Origine.
What?
From a controlled, so a original controlled appellation. So we have something similar in the Pacific Northwest for Pinot.
For wines, yeah. And that's gotten quite a bit more granular in the last 10 years.
Right. And that is a very, very French thing to kind of codify anything.
And champagne is the most famous.
Yeah, but I mean, wine writ large is, but everything, it's like chocolates, you name it, salts, like everything has, to be a selle de Camargue is like a very specific
Or
thing.
beurre de Normandie.
Yeah, and the poulet de Bresse is like considered it is the best chicken in the world.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
But again, it has that really kind of like savage, kind of yellow fat, like kind of gamey quality that we're not, like our chickens here are bred for speed and not for...
not running away speed.
No, but to be made
of
fast.
growth.
I just saw the other day they were showing like the striations in chicken breast from fat, which is essentially marbling, as a symptom of them just being grown way too fast.
Huh.
Meat, our relationship with meat is going to change, but not right away. And maybe we take advantage of the fact that we can get some that we know about now, and then when we're eating bugs and blocks of protein in the future, we can think back and be like, I remember that.
I'm okay with bugs. I've had some of them. They're just crap getting in your teeth all the time.
Yeah.
Like grasshoppers, I get it. It's sustainable. But I would much rather, I think I could go meat free. To go dairy free would be tough for me.
That would be hard.
Like cheeses, eggs,
butter.
I mean, I could absolutely survive on that.
I mean, eggs not dairy, but I mean,
I could get rid of all meat.
Yes. I think I could do that. I mean, I like the idea of the garnish, like the some kind of crispy meat or bakey or something like that.
But when you get down to oysters, like I'd like to keep oysters. I don't know if I don't have any ethical or can't imagine ethical concerns about oysters.
No.
But I can imagine ethical concerns about pigs.
My understanding is, and I may be completely wrong about this, but I think in the United Kingdom they have declared crabs and lobsters and octopus as sentient beings. So you're no longer allowed to boil them alive. I think what it essentially means is that you have to humanely kill them first.
I could see that with octopus.
Right.
Very smart creature.
And how?
But crabs?
No. I think the problem is that it just takes them so long to go inside their shell. So it seems like an unnecessary, protracted demise. But I think it gives crabs a little more credit.
Yeah, but we wouldn't worry about boiling grasshoppers.
Right, that's true. But I don't think we would argue that they're sentient either.
Yeah, but more than crabs. I mean, when I think of crabs,
you think of bugs.
I think of bugs, sea bugs.
Yeah, that was funny. In Australia and New Zealand, they have these funny little crustaceans that look a little bit like those roly-poly potato bugs, those gray, and they call them that. They call them bugs.
Right.
And that was, for me, just a little difficult association because it's in your brain, right? You see a lobster, you see a crab, and you're like, okay, I get the connection.
Right.
I recognize that that's a little buggy and that it probably eats shit and garbage, but let's go. Delicious.
Right. But shrimp.
Right, but then as soon as they call it bugs, I'm just like,
huh. No, I don't do that. Oh. Can you imagine how long we've been talking about food today?
Yeah, no, this is not what the show's about.
Wow.
Let's rein it in and do something
just
crazy, hilarious, and talk about, because we're now on, what is today? Friday? No, it's Saturday. Yesterday has become a very big, obviously shopping day, but a big dining day. A lot of people have finished, they're hosting their family, they're ready to have someone else cook and do the dishes, and they'd like to get a buzz on. They go out this weekend, big.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the last 20 years, I think the relationship to people going out for the holidays changed drastically.
Yeah, and it's all holidays.
Right.
Like it's not just, in the past you would know, clearly New Year's Eve has historically been the biggest night for any restaurant.
Right.
Because people want to go out, celebrate, so restaurants can stack, sit-down restaurants.
Right.
Right. For a grab-and-go place, or I don't know for McDonald's if it's the biggest night in the world, but the biggest night of the year. But, your typical restaurant can do a 2-hour turn, and so you'll do like a 5 to 7, a 7 to 9,
and then a
9 to 11. So, so that's 5 to 7, 7 to 9.
That's 3 services.
9, 11, yeah. And then sometimes you do later. You do like a midnight service. So we do have restaurants that can pull in 4 turns, 4 fills of the restaurants. Yeah. And so you can charge, you can do a fancy dinner.
Yeah, premium.
And because it's usually a prefix and the menus are set up ahead of time, It makes it very fast in the kitchen because you're not waiting for people to order. You're
You
just,
know who's getting what.
you know who's getting what. There's a huge chart.
Yeah.
You have all the food allergies set out. You know what table is getting what when. So all you have to do is wait for the server to say, boom.
Fire.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 is ready for next course. Boom, it's out. So an hour and a half is enough time for a restaurant that might typically take 2.5 hours to serve somebody.
Right.
Because the food's just so fast. So in any case, it's usually we can do double a great night on New Year's Eve. So it's a big, big night. But I remember I was trying to convince our friends Nick Sherman and Rick Giancarelli at Lardo to open on July 4th because I lived in that area.
Right.
Over by Hawthorne.
And you didn't want to cook.
No. I just was out on July 4th.
Sure.
Walking around and just saw people everywhere. And that was always like a big day off for everybody. And at some point I just said, look, pay time and a half and give it a shot. When I was 20 whatever, I would, for to work for $20 an hour, well, I think $22.50 now is time and a half an hour, and get tips on a super, what could be a super busy day. What was I going to do on July 4th? I just didn't, whatever, I just worked. So I knew that there would be some people willing to do it. And so they staffed, and it was freaking bonkers. And then I convinced other partners to do it, like Loyal Legion, we started opening on July 4th, bonkers. And so that was kind of that proof of concept I needed. And then once we partnered with Jasper and Laura at XLD, they opened Christmas Day, line around the block.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden we are open on Thanksgiving, certain places, certainly Christmas Eve.
Right.
Before restaurants close Christmas Eve.
Listen, Scrooge, I understand that it's a moneymaker, but I think the push and pull, obviously, is the fact that, it is so hard for restaurant people to feel connected to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
That the opportunity for them to be with their families on these big days is a big way that you can sort of offer them a gift.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'm sure that there are some members of the staff who are like, screw that. I hate Thanksgiving. My aunt is going to drink a whole bunch of Crown Royal, and then it's over. So, yes, I'd like to work.
Yeah, I'd like to make, time and a half and a whole bunch of tips.
Yeah, no, and it is the holidays angst filled.
Yeah. And we don't have to, any place that does the holiday stuff, it's always optional. You always have the option to not work on a holiday.
Right.
But we have zero problem staffing because it's like the money's awesome.
Yeah.
And, do you really need 24 hours to celebrate? I don't know. When I was growing up, I didn't need to.
Well, I don't think you even needed, yeah.
But yesterday, Thursday, I would have loved to go out for a drink.
Right.
You've been with your family all day.
Yes.
And the worst part is this goddamn tradition of eating at like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So by 5, you're done. You feel like you're in a coma.
Right.
And what you want to do is just get the hell out of the house.
Why was the ship not open?
I don't know.
You could have walked.
Multnomah Village does have wonderful and diverse drinking options.
Right.
But the first place I saw this was in Scotland, where the biggest night of the year by far is not New Year's Eve. It's Boxing Day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Boxing Day is bonkers.
That's the 26th?
26th.
Okay.
And in Canada, it's the same thing. Not as big, but my God, it's like throughout Great Britain, the 26th is like, it is full on berserk. Because it's always a national holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So people are off and people just get twisted.
Yeah.
And it's like a warm-up but it's not even a warm-up because it's bigger. I mean, all the guys I knew that were in the industry were like, oh yeah, Boxing Day is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Most people are going home. They're going out to see all their buddies they haven't seen for a while. And it is just, and I hadn't really seen that kind of like holiday partying. But now we see it pretty much at every big holiday. And before, Valentine's Day was always huge for restaurants.
Right. But that was it.
And New Year's.
Yeah.
And those were kind of related. But now if you open Christmas Eve, you're packed.
Yeah, no, my mom is in the last 5 or 6 years has, happily given up that responsibility and has made reservations and been delighted.
Yeah. And I think the places that pick it up first are bars because you just don't, people aren't necessarily going out post-holiday, stuff fest.
Right.
They're going out to just socialize and get away.
Yeah. Yeah, hide,
hide.
self-medicate.
So we'll see.
Take care of yourselves, people.
I think there'll be a time soon where you just, there'll be tons of choices, 365 days a year,
Right.
to go out and eat, like sit down or grab and go, because it's of demand. Now I think it doesn't make sense to be open Christmas morning.
Right.
That kind of sucks. But, to open up at 5 on Christmas Day, I think there's a lot of demand.
Yeah.
You kind of did your whole family thing. You want to get out. You don't need your staff in that case until like 2. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's going to grow because the money's just too big.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pressure. There seems to be increasing pressure, especially as there's social media recipes and cooking and demonstrations and pictures of things that people have made or eaten.
Right.
There's a lot of anxiety. People are like, screw that. I can open cans and I can open apps.
Right.
So let's go out for dinner.
Let's go app for dinner.
Oh, I like that. Could we maybe have a campaign?
Let's go app for dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, anything kind of ghost kitchen-y is just makes me want to throw up.
Going apps for, did that mean like just mozzarella sticks?
Going app. I was thinking like an app, like you're ordering on an app.
Too, but then
I like
thought,
going apps for dinner. That's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
The
I
concept
like
you just heard, we just birthed
sticks?
it. We just birthed the concept right here.
Yeah.
Apps for dinner.
Yeah, mozzarella sticks.
And you can only order online.
What are the greatest appetizers? Right now, my current obsession, and I feel like one that we've missed out on, are potato skins.
Yes.
Like a great potato skin.
TGIF, thank God, I forgot about those.
So you kind of get those, you bake them,
sure,
cut them in half, scoop out. So you
I'm
want to
familiar
leave
with the technique.
like a half inch,
I
think.
Go ahead.
But then what do you do with those?
The guts?
Well, the guts clearly you reintegrate into the stuff you're
Sure.
going to put back in. But what do you do? What's
To
the
the
gold
guts?
standard
Is
for
this
the
a
shell?
quiz?
The shell. What for you is the gold standard?
You mean like what is the filling of the twice
No.
baked?
The potato.
Okay.
You've now baked it,
Scooped it out.
scooped it out, but you still have
The shell.
the shell.
And the guts.
And putting in the guts, what do you do
Oh,
to the
yeah,
shell?
yeah. You got to brown that off, I think.
But how?
Oh. Well, I think probably I would use clarified butter.
Oh, you think? Okay.
I would. What about you?
I would throw it directly in the deep fat fryer.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you're essentially just frying these potato baskets.
Right.
And then out it comes. Put in your stuff.
Your appareil, your filling.
Maybe hit it with the broiler real fast and
Sure.
out it goes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, a key ingredient, sour cream.
Cheese.
Cheese, well, yeah.
And I mean, would you just do kind of like down the middle baked potato flavor? Is that where you'd go?
That's what I like.
Scallions, a bacon substitute made with plant-based.
Exactly, faking.
I'm with you. That's delicious. I think potato skins.
God,
I'm
I
there
love
for
potato
it.
skins.
I'm here.
Yeah, cheap, right? So good for restaurants,
Yep.
but quite a bit of work. So not something people are going to do at home. So
Sure.
they'll appreciate it.
That's a great point.
Probably something that has been perfected at an industrial level,
And I do think
like
that
fries.
the deep fat fry of the shell is superior, especially on a larger scale. I guess I was thinking as a home cook.
Yeah. And then, so I love those. I do love fried mozzarella.
Yes.
Not necessarily the stick, but like a decent fried mozzarella.
At Oven and Shaker, they're doing their mozzarella kind of thin. They look like little sausage patties almost. And I love the crust to cheese ratio.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you get them, there's too much cheese and you're just pulling them apart and it's kind of indecent.
Yeah.
And then if you don't cork them right away, they just get to be jelly.
Yeah. You can buy that mozzarella that's pre-sliced.
Uh-huh.
And those, the discs are perfect.
Just the coins.
The coin.
Mhm.
You fry that.
Just a little bread 'em ups.
Yeah. Then
The
you have
other
a
thing
little bit of
I
marinara
would
sauce.
say, if you're going to do this at home, I would after I breaded them, I would freeze them.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
And then throw them in the fryer
And then
from
throw them in the
freezer.
fryer from the freezer because you're making a shell and you can really get that nice crust and get that.
So probably also something ripe for industrial production.
Okay, so the two things we're serving at Apps for dinner so far are potato skins and fried mozzarella and
Other apps that we love.
steak bites? No.
That's okay, but yeah, I don't. Kind of like the trashier fried.
Okay. All
what
deep
else?
fat fried?
Yeah. What are other
Butter,
classics?
fried butter. They do that in Ohio, I think.
Yeah. Well, butter's yummy. I mean, so I haven't had that.
At a certain point, though, it feels like,
Yeah. What else? I mean, what other kind of apps are great? Because, you have nachos and things like that people have.
You don't want to have a cured fish.
But you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, the TGIF, like, specialty, like the happy hour special menu. If you could recreate that.
Popcorn shrimp.
Oh.
Okay.
Like they used to have at Oba's. Do you remember that?
That was the coconut shrimp.
Yeah, coconut.
I actually would say coconut over popcorn.
Yeah.
That was some good shit.
Is charcuterie an appetizer?
Yeah, but it's a little too snazzy. I mean, you could have like meat sticks.
Meat sticks is good. Oh, mini corn dogs.
That would make our friend happy.
Oh. And again, what we learned the
How
other day.
many?
I think a basket should have 8 mini corn dogs in it.
Okay.
And I'm talking just the wee little guys.
Yeah. Would they have sticks or no?
I don't think you need them when they're minis.
Sure.
You would provide a stick perhaps to eat with.
All right, or look like a proprietary tong.
Yeah. But again, a must if you're making them.
Yeah, I feel like if there's young restaurateurs out there listening, they should be taking notes.
So high fat. You want a high fat hot dog.
Right.
For your corn dog.
Because it's moist.
Yeah, because when you fry those things off, it's just, and they're a lean, it's just not good.
No.
Those ones I made at your house.
Yes.
And those were a great hot dog. That was like a Hebrew National or a Nathan's.
Yep.
Not good.
You need those kind of like super emulsified ones that are really, because they get essentially steamed inside there.
Yeah, you need super fatty.
Yeah.
So that the inside just pop.
And then you're gonna dip it in Hunt's ketchup, right?
No.
That was a trick. Brought to you by Heinz and its affiliated amalgamated companies.
Amalgamated.
Brought to you by corn syrup.
Oh, yum. What else? I'm sure people are listening to this just screaming into their headsets.
They're like, come on, fried buffalo cauliflower.
No, that's brand new.
Yeah, okay.
Wings are just kind of overdone.
And expensive as all get out.
Yeah. I always love fried green tomatoes. Yeah, not really.
There you go.
Oh, onion rings.
Onion rings. From the peanut gallery and peanuts.
Yeah. Onion rings are a great idea.
Tell me what you're going to cook. I want to know 2 things. What are you going to cook for Christmas? And what are you going to get Cora that's going to blow her mind for Christmas?
Ooh, good one. Cora for Christmas. That's a tough one. I mean, she loves shoes with heels. So she calls them tap shoes.
Sure.
Because when they kind of hit the ground, they make a tap dance kind of noise. So she would really like those. And every now and then she grabs my phone and goes on Amazon and finds in the history the pink tap shoes. So she would love that. She's pretty simple. She doesn't need. She's pretty easy. I think that she has some big loves, like, a pony.
Uh-huh.
That would probably make her pretty happy.
Right.
We are going to be getting a new dog
I heard.
in the new year.
And it's not just any dog, it's a big dog.
Big dog. My wife has been, how should I say?
Obsessed?
Stalking?
There we go. Okay.
Certain breeders. A breeder specifically she grew up with a Saint Bernard and is obsessed with Saint Bernard. So it's like 3 or 4 years now of being on a wait list. And finally, they reached out saying, oh, hey, you're next on the wait list. So she was disappointed to find out that we get the booby prize dog because all the nicest dogs first, you have to commit to showing or breeding the dog to get the choice of the litter. And she's like, well, I'll show the dog. I was like, no.
No, you won't.
No, you won't. That's not being honest.
So now you've got the runt or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I don't know what are most popular. I know that the males are the most popular for showing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a better chance of getting a female, which I'm delighted with. And then probably not the best markings. Markings are kind of the thing they look for.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the litter...
It won't be mistaken for another kind of dog. People will know that it's a Saint Bernard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're delightful dogs. I'm worried about the hair.
They're very, very sheddy. But your dog, which has like almost no hair, strikes me as the kind of dog that sheds its own amount of hair on a daily basis. I don't even understand how that bulldog sheds
and
as much
he has
as
pattern, male pattern baldness.
Yeah.
baldness. So he is. There's about a sixth of his body that is now hairless.
Yeah,
on the sides.
And yet he continues to shed everywhere.
It's amazing amount of hair. Amazing.
I feel like that could be tapped as an energy source.
But this next dog, if that dog is about 180 pounds, I think one area that it will win is just daily feces production.
I don't like it. I don't like picking up poop.
Yeah. Well, my wife is going to love it, I guess.
I think you are. I think you're going to learn to. I think you're going to learn to love it.
But I was thinking about getting a remote control like scooper.
Okay.
So I could just be inside.
Maybe like a 4-wheel drive Roomba?
Yeah.
An outdoor
with a front
one?
loader.
Ooh.
So you just kind of drive up behind. 'Cause I'm imagining substantial.
Yeah.
So you just kind of go in there, scoop it, dump it in the back, and be like a pretty thing bag, and then drive it somewhere.
When I was born, my parents had a St. Bernard named Grover.
Grover.
Ever tell you that? And Grover, who they liked very much, snapped at me. And so my parents gave Grover to the garbage man. In fact, they traded Grover for a goat named Charlie. Not that should prejudice you in any way. I'm sure your breeder would not breed for snappitude.
No.
But
They're
the
very
goat was pretty
gentle.
good. The goat was pretty good.
Yeah, but you came into his life after he had been there.
Exactly. That was his territory.
Yeah, when they're brought in, when they're puppies in a family with children, they apparently become incredibly protective and loyal.
I imagine. I hope that the cat doesn't get eaten.
Again, I think that if they're brought in where there's one that's there.
Yeah.
And we took your advice and searched for a name that was a reference to the bourbon casks.
Nice. Is it bourbon, in fact, that they historically carried?
We're pretending.
Okay.
Because we really like the name.
Brown liquor.
Yeah. So Michter.
Hey.
That's pretty good.
That's
right?
real good.
And then she likes to abbreviate it. Then she can call her Mickey. And it can be boy or girl. So we like Michter. My favorite bourbon.
It is.
Yeah,
They make
love
a terrific rye.
And a rye. Yeah, just a great brand. So Michter, I like that.
Yeah, that is good. It's got a like kind of a secret agent vibe to me.
Yeah, and people say Michter, M-I-C-H-T-E-R, Michter.
M-I-C, yeah, Michter. Okay,
That's pretty good, right?
it's real good. It'll look good on a collar.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you.
Okay, so that's pretty good. Now let's talk about your Christmas dinner, and then let's get the heck out of here.
Oh my God, my Christmas dinner. I have not even thought about it. I know that traditionally Heather loves a ham.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably do my best with that.
Like soup to nuts, or are you going to buy a honey baked spiral and just call it a day?
Well, that's the easy way out, and there are great honey baked spirals.
At Costco.
Costco does a great one. I've always been intrigued with trying to learn how to do one.
Yeah. Ham is a motherfucker. It's a hard thing to get right. Like a boiled ham is not. It's not an easy process.
No.
Because that brine gets a little spotty. Like every once in a while, you think you've nailed it, then you cut into the ham and it's like pink, 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 and then there's this unresolved, uncured kind of brown part of it.
Right.
And getting the salt level is really hard.
Yeah. And it's just that it's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have like 15 people at your house, those hams are just never ending.
Yeah.
So, but we do love that. So I don't know. Figure it out. What I loved that the French did is that on Christmas Eve, it was a gigantic seafood feast, all chilled.
Right.
And just, that's the first time I ever had brûlot, those kind of like sea snails.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love those things. So freaking good. There's an example of something I didn't think I was going to like.
Right.
And unbelievable. So I like that tradition. I wish we could continue that. It's easy, actually. You just blanch everything ahead of time.
Right.
Huge platters. And so that'd be nice. And then Christmas Day, I don't know.
Prime rib. That's what I'm doing.
That's a great call.
I love it.
That's a great call.
On the bone, just
on the bone.
crispy on the outside and just delicioso.
Yeah.
Scalloped potatoes, always for Christmas scalloped potatoes, always for Thanksgiving mashed potatoes.
I think I'm going to copy you.
Oh my God, you heard it here first, folks. Come visit us at our All Apps restaurant. We can talk about what you're cooking for Christmas.
That's only two. We only have 2 dishes so far, though.
Well, that's because we're going to spool it out. This is a cliffhanger, see?
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
You know, another thing I wish we had more of is fried shoestring potatoes.
Okay.
I always love those.
You remember Zephyro did that
Yeah.
fabulous tower of shoestring potatoes.
They just get cold so fast.
They do.
But they are transcendent.
Yeah, a
Those
good
first,
shoestring.
the first 4 bites are just so great.
I like. Yeah, I'm branching out on fries. I used to be just like the crusted, like the flour starch crusted, but now I'm developing an interest in shoestring and curly.
Yeah. Curly are cool. And you can buy the machine to make the curlies.
What?
Yeah.
Maybe you should get that for Cora for Christmas.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be that's definitely a selfish
We
gift.
needed a machine for making curlies when we were in high school, but that's another story for another podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to remind me off camera what that is.
I was talking about pubic hair.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, well,
We had a machine for
no,
making pubic
forget
hair?
it. We need.
What?
I just don't even. I can't even talk to you right now. I'm so upset. Well, I mean, meandering, and I think pensive. What are you doing today? I'm going to the coast.
Oh, I'm gonna go. My brother's in town, so Spencer. My dad is also in town, so the 3 of us are gonna go watch the game formerly known as the Civil War.
Oh, and what
Oregon,
are we calling
Oregon
it
State.
now?
We don't know.
Gentle disagreement.
Yeah,
The passive aggressive bro down.
yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of like.
I tell you what, that's a. I don't really want to get too much into that, but I'm with you on the furor surrounding the Civil War. Does seem a little over the top.
Well, I was a little bit late to the party. I didn't know until a couple days ago that we don't call it that anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. I think you have to be pretty nimble these days, just being okay with name changes,
Right.
unless you want to fight fights.
Sure. You like that every once in a while. What are we going to call it? The grape escape? No. The grape debate?
Grape debate.
Vine time.
Yeah, I think that's too foodie. It's like bros and what's the something cup? We just
The hazelnut bag. How about that? How about that, John Canzano?
It has to end with cup, like the apple cup.
The hazelnut bag cup.
Nut bag. You're just trying to fit nut bag into whatever it is you're saying.
I'm trying to fit nut bag into a cup.
Well, interesting.
Right? See
Yeah,
that?
fun at home.
Sure. Wait a minute.
All right, guys. Nice talking to you this week.
We're out. Oh, man.